कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणाम् आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् ॐ श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। Welcome everyone to this class on the Nyaya Sutras. We were discussing in the last class about mainly Shabda word and its Nityatvam, or its whether it is eternal and not. And then later on we examined a bit more in detail about the grammatical aspect of sound, sandhi aspect of sound, where words combine together, and then when there is a change, then is that change basically a replacement of the word, which we call an adesha, or was it a vikaraha? So the conclusion drawn by the author there is that when there is a sandhi, like when e changes to ya, then there e is being replaced by ya. So there is an adesha, there is a replacement, there is a grammatical rule which brings in one letter for another, which is the way our tongues or our mouth actually pronounces the word. When two words are joined, the tongue moves from one part of the palate to the other, and so that brings a change in the sound when two words are spoken very quickly together. That is why this sandhi rule is there in Sanskrit, where all the words come together and they change their character, they change the pronunciation in between. So there are a lot of different rules for that. And then in the next section that we are going to look up, so starting with the 60th sutra. So I hope we finish this chapter today. So we have altogether 10 chapters, or you can say 5 chapters having 2 sub chapters each, 5 having 2 parts each. So that is in all 10 chapters. So second chapter, part 2, we are nearing the end. There are about 11 more sutras to go. So if we can wind up this, we can complete this part, and then we'll have to move on to the next, which is a very, very interesting and very important one, where a lot of Vedantic concepts that are used, they are examined logically over there. And that is the basis. What is that basis? That Atma, the soul, is the basis of everything. So we'll come to that when we reach there. So right now, what we are looking at is this next section, which is about words. So I'll just like to add a slight detour, you can say, or I like to add a bit of an explanation, so that when we actually go through this portion, you'll be able to understand the terms being used. This is something we have done earlier also in Atma Bodha and Tattva Bodha. So if you remember from there, that also is fine. So basically, what does a word denote? शब्द किसको इंगित करता है? What does a word point towards to? That is being discussed here. So every word is said to have what we call is a direct meaning. That direct meaning is, in Sanskrit terms, it is called abhidha. Abhidha. So abhidha is the direct meaning of a word. What does it denote? Right? So there is another way of also words express things, and that is called lakshan. So lakshan. So lakshan is when you are not describing the object as a whole, but you are describing an aspect, a quality, a property of the object or the person. So when that is being described, we use that to indicate the person much more clearly, right? So if there are a group of cows, right? So you want to indicate the cow, a special cow. So you point out there is a special cow which is a black spot near its neck. So that with that you can point out that specific cow. So that lakshan also again is of 2 kinds, right? The lakshan again is of 2 kinds. What are the 2 kinds of lakshan? They are swarup lakshan, right? Swarup lakshana, and other is tatastha lakshana. Tatastha lakshana. So swarup is something that is inherent to the person or object, inherent characteristic of the person, that is Swarup Lakshan. And Tatastha Lakshan is something that is not a part of that object, but which is very closely associated to, or very closely positioned to, and that is how we call it a Tatastha Lakshan. So, for example, how do we give an example? So, if we say that Ramji, who is Ramji? He is the one who has a dark skin and he's carrying a bow in his hand, right? So, uh, if you're saying about the skin of Ramji, then skin is his inherent characteristic, right? Inherent characteristic. So there is that skin, that blue colored skin, some say, or dark colored skin, some say, that is called the Swarup Lakshan. And the bow and arrow in his hand is his Tatastha Lakshan. Or you can say it in a different way, like if there is a house, there is a row of houses, and you want to point out a particular house, and there is a crow sitting on top of one of the houses. So that is one very commonly used example in the Shastras. So that you say the one a house with the crow on top of it is the one I am going to, or I want you to go to, whatever be the case, right? So there you have these two different kinds of lakshanas: Swarup Lakshan, which is the inherent characteristics of an object, and Tatastha Lakshan, which is something that is closely associated with or situated near to a thing, so you can point out, right? So you can say, who is Sitaji? Sitaji is the one who's walking directly behind Ramji. And in this way, you can express the different ways of how an object or a person is to be pointed out or recognized, right? So that is how you have to do it. So we'll just move on to the sutra first quickly. So this is the sutra. So last class, if you remember, we had done up till the 59th sutra, where we had looked at the gunantar apyutam bhyas vriddhi shlesh avestu vikar upavad vikar. So different kinds of vikaras in a word. And then we are going to look at the words. A word in itself. What does the word denote? So first, what is a word? So first, what is a word? So te vibhatyanta padam. Te vibhakyantaha padam. So te, those are words. Vibhaktya, you split it up to vibhakti antaha. Vibhakti antaha. So those words are those which are ending with a vibhakti. Right? So I'll explain that. So basically in Sanskrit terminology or grammar, words are created in two different ways. So what are those two different ways? There is a definition in Sanskrit which we use regularly, and which we call sup tik antam padam. Sup tik antam padam. So what does it mean? A padam is a word. So what is a padam or a word? A word is something that has a suffix which is in the form of sup and tik. Sup and ting. So sup and ting are different kinds of suffix, right? So what are those suffixes? Like if we have a case of a noun. So in the case of a noun, we have Ram. So Ram is Ra, A, then Ma, and Ma with a halant on below it. So that is Ram. So then we create different forms of Rama, where we add what we call a karak to it, a preposition to it. So in Sanskrit, the prepositions are affixed to the word, and then they take different forms according to that, right? So those are the different kinds of suffixes. So the ones at the ending of a noun is called a sup pratyay, and the ones at the end of a verb is called ting pratyay, right? So sup pratyay and ting pratyay, right? So in this way, they are added at the end of a word. So if it is in the case of Ram, then there are 7 different karaks, 7 vibhaktis. And then according to gender also, the verb, the noun takes different forms. the noun takes different forms. So Rama, Ram, Ramaha, Ramaha, Ramam, Ramo, Raman, in this way, all these go. So I won't go into the full details of that, but if we just, I'll just share onto the screen one of this Vibhakti chart of mine. I shared it last time also. So alphabet chart. So if you look here, these are the endings कारक विभक्ति. कर्ता ने कर्म को करण से संप्रदान के लिए अपादान से अलग संबंध काके की रारेरी और अधिष्ठान में पे पर. So if I say Ram ne, Ram did something, then you have to use the first form. So with Ram it will become Ramaha, Ramau, Rama, Ramaha, Ramam, Ramau, Raman, Ramam, Ram, Ramabhyam, Ramabhihi. And in this way, the different forms are taken. So all these verb noun forms are taken up, and these will be different for different words. There are rules by which this suffix is joined there. Sometimes there is a sandhi rule by which it changes. So it will not be always in the same way that you see here. So this you will understand when you learn Sanskrit. But basically, when you are saying, like you are about to say, Ram ke liye, राम के लिए मैं फूल लेके गया. I took flowers for Ram. So for that, what is the के लिए form? Fourth one. So the fourth way of saying that word will be used. So Ramai, Ramabhyam, Ramabhyah. That is the fourth form. So in this way, you have to understand that fourth one. So all these different noun forms are there. Then there is a Tigant. Tigant is the verb. So if you say someone is going, then the root word for that is gach. So for that also, for the singular gender, for the dual and the plural, more than two, there will be different forms of the word. And then for the first person, second person, and the third person. So in Sanskrit we say Pratham Purush, Madhyam Purush, Uttam Purush. So that is how we name them. So if we say gach, then it will be gachati, gachata, gachati, gachati, gachata, gachanti, then gacham, sex, gachasi, gachata, gachasa, then gachama, gachava, gachamaha. So in this way, it will take different forms. So I'm not conducting a grammar class right now. We can do that sometime later. So in this way, the forms will be taken up. So I think George has done some Sanskrit classes, so he would understand. So this way, so in this way, you have to understand these forms. So when these forms are then enumerated, then what happens is through the combination of these vibhaktis or the word endings, a word is formed. So we'll just move back to the sutra. Te vibhakti anta padam. So words are two kinds, nouns and verbs. Noun ends in a suffix. Example, Ramas plus su is Ramasu, is while a verb ends in a suffix. So example, bhavati. So all these different word forms are there, and these are then used to form different kinds of nouns and verbs. So these different word forms will denote what a word is saying. A verb will denote action, and a noun will denote the person, object, or thing. Right? And in this way, all of these will go. So if it is as I said in Ram, then Ram will be into 7 into 3 vibhaktis, 21 forms. And then if it is Gachati, then it will be into 3 into 3, 9 forms. So these are there for the present tense. Then there are forms for different imperative mood. Then for the past tense, future tense, potential tense, and past perfect tense. So all of them have a different form. And then there are other forms, which is the active voice and the passive voice also. So that is there. So all of these verbs will take different kinds of forms, right? So in this way, these words can be used to denote different kinds of things. Now, does a different kind of what does a word point out? What does a word point to? So here the basic thing being discussed is there are three things that can be pointed out by a word. So what are those three things? We'll look in the next few verses. So this is the second chapter, part 2, and 61st verse, 2 to 61. Right? So 2 to 61 we are looking. Tadarthe Vyaktya Kritija Jati Sannidhau Upacharat Sanshaya. So tat arthe. So what is the meaning that is conveyed by a word? Tat arthe Vyakti. First is Vyakti, a person, an individual. Vyakt means something has come to manifest. Right? So what has come to manifest? Some kind of a person or a form or an object or anything. So that is Vyakti. So Vyakti is not necessarily a human being, which is used in Hindi basically, but Vyakti can denote any kind of manifest object also. Then Akriti. Akriti is a form, the form of the person. So that form conveys what kind of a person it is. It differentiates, form differentiates one object from another, one person from another. And then third is Jati. So Jati is the general category, right? So if there is a cow, so different cows, but all belong to the same genus or category of Jati. So Jati is basically, you can say, a genus. So here is said Sannidho Upacharat Sanshaya. So what does it denote? Upacharat Sanshaya. That for that there is a doubt. There is a doubt. So in the for a normal person, or here as you can see the Purv Pakshi, the person who is opposing the Siddhanti, the one who's saying that what you are putting forward is not exactly correct. But this section is slightly unique. Here what is being done is the person who is explaining, he himself is pondering whether the word denotes Vyakti, Akriti and Jati, and then finally he comes to his conclusion in the final verse. So we'll keep on looking here. So what does it say? Tadarthe Vyakti, Akriti, Jati, Sannidho, Upacharat, Sanshay. So there is doubt what a word or a noun or word both really means, as it invariably presents to us as an individual, form and genus. So just like you can read here, the cow is given here. So where does cow enter into the picture? Because in a later sutra, all of these meanings will be explained with reference to a cow. Cow will be used as the main reference word. So that is why it is being used here. So the word cow reminds of an individual, a four-footed animal. So that is the Vyakti. And then it has form, a certain limbs, and certain, then it has a genus, or which is the cowhood. So that genus is there. So all of these are related to cow. So now it is asked, what is the real significance of the word noun? What is it actually denoting? So that is being discussed here. So I'll just read this next sutra, and then I have split the words in here into a chart, because then you see here we have a set of words. There is one list of words, there is a second list of words, and then each of them are interrelated to each other. So then we'll have to explain it in that way, right? So I'll just open that chart also. And then I'll share it. Okay. So we'll just look at the words. Okay. Okay, so that list is for a later sutra. This one will be just discussing the individual words. Okay, so what does it say? Ya Shabd Samuha Tyag परिग्रह, संख्या, वृद्धि, उपचय, वर्ण, समास, अनुबंधानाम, व्यक्तौ, उपचारात, व्यक्ति. So some say that a word noun, it denotes an individual, a vyakti. Why? Because it is only in respect for an individual only we can use the term that animal, that person, and so on. Or we can use the term collection, samu, uh, then tyag, giving away something, parigraha, to collect something, then sankhya or number, then vriddhi, then vriddhi is to decrease something when or something like decreases in size. Huh? So, increases in size. Vriddhi. Then upachay, when something increases in size. Sorry, I'm mixing up both. Vriddhi, upachay, increase and decrease. Increase and decrease. Or here the word is used as waxing and waning. And then one, its color. Then samas, whether it is a compound of something. And anubandhanam, vyakto, upachara, vyakti. So all of these are the terms that we can use to denote a person. Upachara, vyakti. We can use it to express things about a person. So that what is the logic being given here? The logic being given here is so upcharat vyakti. So basically, what is being said here? I'll just take up the words individually, so it will be clear to you. So ya shabd samu, ya is that. Huh? So that word can be used to denote or point out something in a person or a place or a person or an action. Huh? So that you can use the word ya. So the logic being given here is that these words can all be used to point out a certain person or an object. Huh? So that is how Ya Shabd will include. Then Samuh. So Samuh is a group of objects. Huh? Samuh is a group of objects where you can indicate all of them. So if it is a herd of cows, huh? So herd of cows you can use it to indicate a Samuh or a group. So that can be used to indicate another a vyakti as a collection, a person as a collection. Then next up, Samu is after Samu is Tyag. So I have given a cow as a donation to a person. So a Brahman was given a cow during any kind of ritual. So there a go has been given. Then parigraha. Parigraha is to pari is all round. Agraha is to collect. So to collect something together within your vicinity. So when you collect things in life, they become your collection. In your home, you have a lot of things. They are your parigraha. So parigraha is something you have gained or possessed or received for yourself. So for say for the Brahman, for him he received the cow. Brahman Gau Parigraha. So in this way, that is used to that word is again used to express the person itself, or person here in the case is the cow. So the cow is being indicated. So all of these are being used to indicate the cow. Then Sankhya. So Sankhya also, you can use the word Sankhya, the number of cows that are going. So you say 10 cows are walking along this muddy road. So in this way, you can indicate them. Then Vriddhi. So the cow is getting fat. So she has eaten a lot of food and now she's gained a lot of weight. So Vriddhi. Then Upachaya. The Upachaya is to wane, to weaken, to lose weight. The reverse. So there Upachaya is a cow. The cow is upachaya bhavati. So in this way you can use this word for the decrease of size. So and then upachay ke baad varn. So varn is the color. So cow is the black, white in color or slightly grayish black in color and so on. A color can be used to indicate a cow, right? So shukla go, kapil go. In this way you can say. And then finally, Anubandh. So Anubandh is basically Anubandh is something that relates one thing to another. So if you remember Tattva Bodha, then we had this Anubandh Chatushtaya. The four, what are the four purposes of a Shastra? So there Anubandh is the relationship. So here basically what the relationship is expressing is there is a relationship between the cow and its child. Yeah, so cow will give birth to a cow only. A horse will give birth to a horse only. So that is the relationship. So that anubandh denotes that a cow can give birth to a cow only and not to any other animal. So that is how all these words together are used to indicate a certain vyakti, a person, an object or a thing or a person or an animal that has manifested, that is available for uh, observing or available for understanding by our sense organs. So in this way, uh, you can understand a word indicating something as an as a vyakti, as a person or as an object. So in this way, word can be used. So to this, someone says, but there is another way also. Uh, so his the next one is na tat anavastha, anavasthana. So he says there is what we call an anavastha dosh. Anavastha dosh is what? If you are using one thing to prove another, that to prove another, and so on. So if you remember that uh, when we are doing this Tattva Bodh and Atma Bodh class, there we saw that to know an object, first we need light, then we need the eye, and then we need the mind, and then finally we need consciousness. So then from that, if we say there is another consciousness that will know that consciousness, so that way it will never end. We have to have a final stopping point, a final ending point where we can say yes, this is the substratum for everything, right? So there we use that Atma is the final cause. But in certain cases, you are unable to ascertain the final cause. How, like what came first, the hen or the egg? So before one hen was, there was one egg, before that egg was another hen, and so on. There is the anavastha dosh. So here also he says that anavastha dosh will take, because if you are saying cow, if you're using the word cow to denote any individual, then individuals are infinite. They cannot be distinguished from one another. So we have to refer them to certain genus and another genus. So in order to distinguish a cow from another individual of another species like a dog, a horse, or a deer, and so on, we have to admit a genus where we have to accept that there must be some kind of genus which is distinguishable. So there you have the anavastha dosh. So cow word cannot indicate the vyakti in itself. It will indicate the jati. It will indicate the general category. It will indicate the genus. That is how it is being said. So, so that is, then again we are answering that in the next part. If it is a jati, then how you can use a word. So a word, it is said, is it can indicate something directly also, but there is something which we call upachar, which we have heard earlier also. So by upachar, by proximity or by some kind of relationship, one word can be said to mean something else. What is the sutra here? It's a very long sutra. Sahacharan, sthana, tadarthya, vrittaman, dharan, samipya, योग साधना अधिपतेभ्य ब्राह्मण मंच कट राज शक्तु चंदन गंगा शाटकात पुरुषेशु वत तद्भावे अपि tat upachara. So he says, though a word, it literally does not bear a certain meaning. So, Sahacharan. So it can be used to by close proximity. Sahacharan, something that is there in the case of, he's given a list of words, Brahman, then scaffold, mat, king, flower, sandalwood, Ganges, cart, food, and man. In consideration of, then you have the second set of words, uh, association, place, design, function, measure, containing, vicinity, conjunction, sustenance, and supremacy. So it will seem confusing, but we have to put it up as a chart, or you can relate one word to the other, then you will understand. Okay, so I'll just share another chart, and then you can get it more clearly. just wrote this down. So there is a group of words. So what he's saying is that there is a group of words by which one word by close proximity to another can indicate another object, right? So Sahacharan can indicate Brahman. These two words are together. Sahacharan is the first word of the first set of words, and the Brahman is the first word of the second set of words. So if you take them one to one, then Sahacharan and Brahman. So how a Brahman is some Brahman comes outside the house, and that Brahman is asking for some food. Huh? So, Bhiksham Dehi, he will say to the lady of the house. So, the lady will say there that Dandaha Brahman, Dandaha Bhojan Vakshyami. So the person that is outside, who's sitting outside, he is a Brahman actually. Brahman will always carry a staff, a stick. Huh? So that is called a danda. So that is sometimes used to indicate the Brahman himself. So the stick is asking for food. So can the stick ask for food? No. But then by Sahacharan, a stick can be used to indicate the Brahman. Then Stan Mancha. Stan Mancha is there is a place that is which we call a machan in Hindi, or there is a platform that is built on a tree for hunting, right? So manchaha kroshanti, that is a common word used there. So the manch is screaming out. The machan is screaming out. Machan is actually not screaming out. The person on the machan is screaming out. So sthana mancha. So a sthan is a mancha, and it can be used to denote a person sitting on that mancha. So here, if you remember, I introduced to you earlier, what I said was tatastha lakshan. Tatastha lakshan is what? Something that is by close proximity is used to indicate another word. So यहाँ भी तटस्थ लक्षण है. Here also तटस्थ लक्षण is there. And then you have तादर्थ्य kata. So तादर्थ्य kata is something that we are using as there is a person who's a weaver. So we use the word weaver. Why? Because he weaves a cloth, cutter, or he's called a patera in Sanskrit. So that person is the weaver of the cloth. Pata is the thread, and he weaves the thread. So he's called a patera. Or you can say in English a weaver. So what is the weaver? The person who weaves the cloth. But is that person actually related to that weaving act of weaving? It is something he does. He's a person. He's not actually a weaver. So just because of his category, we call him a weaver. So I don't have any direct word to express the person. I know this person is there. I don't even know his name. But because everyone knows he's a weaver, I can point out that this is a weaver. Patera ja raha hai. So I don't even know his name, but using close proximity, meaning tadarthya. So a word that signifies his job, his profession, and not the person himself. So you can use this for any kind of person: advocate, lawyer, doctor. So you can call, hello doctor, how are you? If you don't even know his name, so you go to the chamber, you can greet him. So that way. Then Vritta Raja. So Vrit is a certain characteristic, activity, nature can be used to indicate a king. So how? Like Ye Raja Yam Samana. This king is like Yamraj. He is very strict. So the king himself will be called Yamraj. Or if he is very generous, then he is like Janak. So actually his name is not Yamraj, or actually his name is not Janak. So in this way, these words can indicate the person without actually using the name of the person, just by a relationship. Then Man Sattu. So Man is something basically when we call something, you call a measurement. So when by something by measurement I say 1 kilo chawal, 1 kg rice, or 1 liter of water, or 1 liter of milk. So that liter I can use to indicate that object. Whereas liter is not the inherent property or characteristic of that object. It is something I use to measure a part of it. So I say a liter of water or a liter of milk. Whereas it is just milk. It is not, the liter is just a measurement there, right? And then again we have dharan, tula. So dharan is something that holds something. जो किसी चीज को पकड़ के रखता है. So they sometimes, when they used to do a puja, then for a certain ritual, they need chandan. So that chandan is used to, it is needed in an exact quantity. So they use a taraju, a measuring scale, to measure that. So when they put that, they would call it tula chandan. तुला में रखा हुआ चंदन, द चंदन दैट इज केप्ट इन द तुला हैज बीन मेजर्ड आउट फॉर द प्रोसेस. सो तुला चंदन को लेके आओ, हम लोग इसको पीस करके पूजा की थाली का में रखने वाला जो टीका होता है वो बनाएंगे. सो दैट क्वांटिटी वाज फिक्स्ड. सो तुला चंदन वाज द वर्ड दैट वाज यूज्ड देयर. सो बाय यूजिंग तुला or a place where you can keep something, you are indicating the object that is placed in the tula. So it can be used not just for a balance or a weighing scale, anything. Something you keep in a bowl. So get me that bowl of rice. Something you put in a katori, a smaller vessel, or something you put in a plate. So get me that plate of food. So that way you can use that word to indicate the object, which is just by the object is being held by something or even kept in something, like something on the table, on a mat, you can indicate. Then by samipya ganga, that is the next set of words, samipya. So if you look in the sutra also, towards the end, you have samipya in the first set of words, and then towards the end on the second set of words is ganga. So second last in both cases. So what is samipya and ganga? So someone says, this tribe lives on the Ganges. So the tribe is not living on the Ganges, it is living on the river bank of the Ganges. Ganga tire kataha basti asti. So you can say that group of individuals which are there for this, that group of individuals that live on the side of the river, that can be indicated by the river. So the river can indicate that group of people. And then finally, the final one is Yog and Shataka. So in this also, something that is connected to another can indicate another thing. So husband and wife are taking the 7 rounds around the fire for getting married. So who is the husband? The one who's tied to Anita, the bride. So you know the bride. You don't know the name of the groom, so you can indicate by yoga, by connection. So in this way, you can use that. Other examples are given in the books also. You can check there. So basically, this is the indication. So here what we are doing is that we are saying that even though a word can be used to denote a vyakti, then it can also be used to also denote a jati, a category, general category, and also that category or jati or that vyakti can be denoted indirectly. So here we have seen both of these are being used, jati and vyakti. So look at the next category then. So then akriti tad apekshatvat sattva vyavasthana siddhe. So some say that akriti apekshatvat, by the akriti, by the form, sattva vyavasthana siddhe, the person or that entity is recognized. So person or entity is recognized by akriti only. So you have to say that the noun can also be used to denote an akriti, right? Hence it is alleged by some that the word denotes form. So there the form can be used. So all of these three we have seen. A word can be used to denote a jati, a word can be used to denote vyakti, a word can be used to denote an akriti. So all these three can be done. So let us examine a little bit more. So that is in the next group. So here he is saying, let us not quarrel. We are saying all three can be used. So what is that? Vyaktya kritihi jatayah tu padartha. Vyakti akriti jatihi tu padartha. If you split it up, that is how it will form. So vyaktya, if you split the ya will become e. So vyakti, then it will separate in the next word, which is akriti, and jatayastuhu. So their jati will be split into jati. Then there will be astu padartha. So what is it being said? Vyakti, Akriti, Jati, Tu, Padartha. So the meaning of a word or noun is according to us the genus, form, and individual. So a word can be used to signify all those three. So in order to convey a general notion, preeminence is given to the genus. In practical concern, importance is attached to the form, and also the genus can be used to denote something. So whenever we are using a word, the general category of a uh, general category of something can be indicated, and that will be the genus. And then again, when we use the noun and to express what is the shape of the person or an object, for that you can use akriti. And then again, when we want to know about the person itself, that person can be indicated through, as we said, Lakshana Vritti or Abhida Vritti, or Lakshan also to be split into Swarup Lakshan and Tatastha Lakshan. So a word can be used to indicate the person directly, which is in the form of a name, Abhida. So if it is George, if it is Manisha, and so on. So it can be used to indicate all of you. And then if you are not using the name, in fact, then you say you are using cow, then it can be used to indicate the jati, all the different cows. And then akriti. So a black cow, red cow, or as we saw in the previous sutra, the different relationships can be used to indicate more directly a person, right? So manchaha koshanti, the person sitting on top of the manch is being indicated when you say the mancha is shouting out. So in this way, a word can be used to indicate all of these three. So next one is 69th. Vyakti Guna Vishesha Ashrayoho Murti. So here it is being said is that an individual is that which has definite form and is the abode of a particular qualities. So whenever we are talking about a Vyakti, a person, then how do we distinguish the person from others? Gunaha. So Gunaha is the first thing that distinguishes different one person from another. So a person may be tall or short, a person may have fair skin or a dark skin. So all of these properties or qualities, they can help you distinguish one person from another. So all humans are humans, but there will be two people, and you can say the one whose leg is a bit, he's limping. So you can point that out and you can separate that person. Sure. So Akriti can denote a certain person and separate him out from another. So I'm saying person here. You can use the same thing for any kind of object, thing, anything, not just a person itself. So Vyaktihi guna vishesha ashrayoho murti. Murti is not just the idol which we use in terms of normal expression, but murti is something that is having a definite form. Murta. Murta is something which has a form which is being expressed. So what is a Vyakti? Vyakti is something that has a form which has been expressed. Vyakti is expressing through a form. A person has to have a form, and then only he can be cognized or recognized or separated. So in this way, you have to understand Vyakti. So what is the next one? We'll move on to the 70th sutra then. Akritihi jatihi lingakya. So linga is a indicator, a form of something. So what is the indicator of these two? The form, akriti. So akriti is that which is called the token of the genus. Akriti jati hi ling. So akriti hi jati ka ling hai. So form is the indicator of genus. Yes. So that is how you can indicate. How? So if you are saying something about, like the common example we are using, cow. So cow is cowhood. So for a cow, you can indicate one cow by its shape. So it has four legs. It has a certain hanging skin under the neck, which we call the dewlap. Or its eyes are this big, and so on. So different characteristics of a cow you can use to describe it. So a jati can be used to describe a certain by a certain akriti, a form. So any kind of genus has to be described a certain form, and using that you can separate it from another jati. So a horse also will have 4 feet. So what is the basic difference? What is the noticeable difference between a cow and a horse? there is that skin that is hanging below the neck for the cow, which is very unique to the cow. So you can use to indicate that. And of course, you can, when you look at a cow and a certain individual cow, you can give different uh, characteristics of it. There might be certain spots or marks on the body by which you can separate. So a noun can in this way indicate a jati. Yeah? So another what is, and then what is the final characteristic of jati? 71st sutra. Saman prasavatmikaha jati. So what is that? Saman prasava. Prasav is giving birth to something. So conception. So saman prasava. Saman prasava is giving birth to a similar thing. So as I said earlier also, cow will give birth to a cow, dog will give birth to a dog, and human will give birth to a human. So all of this, all of the beings of the world, when they produce another of their kind, it will be of the same jati, same genus. So that is the general notion of jati. So through this, all of this, what we have understood is basically what was the initial thing that was being said. The initial thing was being said is what does a word actually denote? What does a word actually denote? So we came to the fact that there are three kinds of things that can be denoted by a word. What are the three kinds of things that can be denoted by the word? Vyakti, or the person or individual. Second is akriti, which is the form. And third is the jati, a general category, the genus. So all of these can be indicated. So we saw the arguments for each of them, that how a word can be used to indicate a vyakti, because vyakti can be included by, we saw ya shabd, jo wo jo ja raha hai, that person who is going. So that can be used to indicate. And then the further, a full set of words was given where we can use those different words to indicate a person. Then again, a certain set of words is also used to indicate a cow or a jati. Then a certain set of words is also used to denote the akriti. So all of these were given. So using different words, we can use them as a direct meaning, or we can use them as having an indirect meaning. And through all of these, we can indicate a certain person or object. And when all of these objects are indicated, we finally came to the conclusion that a word or a noun or a padam, as we saw, it can indicate any of these three. It can indicate the genus or jati, it can indicate akriti, it can also indicate vyakti. So all of these three can be indicated. And finally, we saw the final characteristics of these three, that the vyakti is the one who has certain fixed characteristics, and to distinguish it from other people, we can use different gunas to distinguish one vyakti from another. Then similarly for jati also, we can use different qualities, different perceptions, different forms, akritis, and in this way we can distinguish jati. So all of these, in all of these, the final conclusion is the first thing that what does it come about? The first thing is akriti, form. So form comes through form, a certain general category is first comes into existence, like a cow. So a cow, horse, or whatever, and then finally through that there will be difference in each individual, from individual to individual. Those differences, when you separate them out, then you can indicate directly the vyakti. So that is the sequence basically. So you have first vyakti, then jati, then akriti. Sorry, reverse. First akriti, then jati, and then vyakti. So in this way, first the form will come, and then through that you can denote a certain jati or a genus, and then finally the individual of that genus. So that is how words function. That is how words are used to denote certain people and objects, right? So I think today the time is up for today's class, so we'll wind up. This chapter is over. The second chapter, part 2, we have finished the final words. So next class, we will start with the third chapter, which is more of the nature of the soul, which is something that is used by Vedanta also in its logical explanations. Very interesting part. So we'll go into that in the next class. So we'll wind up for today. Thank you all. Om Purnamadah to Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for joining the class. I hope I was able to convey anything if someone wants to ask.